The idea for this talk started about a year ago when Dr. Victoria Spangler did her presentation on Jesus is the Question. We studied that book all year long. And this has been an area of interest is seeing for me, the use of the senses as well as the ears because of my personal challenges. And so I've done a lot of introspection and a lot of trying to connect all the things that I know about seeing, and I want to share them with you. I think Jesus understood the complexity of sight and its importance to our having a healthy and happy life. One of my first experiences with vision and seeing happened when I was in college. I was a dance major, and I was repeatedly told, go to the next slide, that my arms were too stiff. No, your arms are really, now you're too limp. And then I was too stiff, and then I was too limp, and I never could get the sweet spot of it being just right. And I hung in there, you know, I was a fairly decent dancer, but I hadn't had ballet training growing up, not quality ballet training. I started ballet when I was 4 years old, but it was the flamenco academy. And Jose Greco would come and audition dancers to go on tour of North America and South America. And he would come to our dance studio and audition dancers. We were a flamenco and a very respected flamenco. My teacher was considered one of the best flamenco dancers in North America. So when I went to college, I studied modern dance. But my love was ballet. It was always ballet. I kept seeking and persisted. And I think that is a really important part of our growth is that persistence to continue. One day, a professional ballerina from New York was our guest teacher. And we stood at the bar, like we always do. And we started in first position. And I noticed her arm as it went up and it came down. And I was just mesmerized by the quality of the grace and the beauty, just of her moving that arm. And in that moment, I had an epiphany. I understood the sweet spot between being too stiff and too limp. So seeing, you can't see without understanding, and you have to see a lot and really concentrate a lot and develop the sense of vision. As a neurotech, I have once again come into a deeper understanding of how we see. And to understand the complexity of vision, we perceive 80% of our understanding of the world. 80% comes through our eyes. And the around 50% of our brain is dedicated to processing vision into understanding. That's a lot of the brain. And what happens is when your brain gets dysregulated, it ends up affecting how we see in some way. So I'm going to give an example of how one area can change how we see. And we all think we're seeing the same thing, but we are not. I knew that as a dancer, and I know that as a neurotechnician. The brain on top is mine. And you can see that on the, can't see with my glasses on and with my glasses off. Up here, right here, we see beta, and we see that it is 3.9 standard deviations from the norm. Normal is here, and we have the normal stuff, and then I'm way out here in no man's land. And you cannot read the possible symptoms of defect. Now, this is Brodmann area 40, and it deals with integration. taking all of the information that's coming in through our eyes. So different areas of the brain connect to it, but this area is very, very important because it integrates. It is also connected, it is above the limbic system. So if you are in fight, flight, or freeze, your vision gets affected. Your ability to take that information and to really see is affected. So how does it affect us? Well, you cannot read the possible symptoms of defect. Whoops, go back. There we go. These up here. So I'll read you some of them. Third one from the bottom is the difficulty in reading faces. Okay, and that is very, very important because if we can't read faces, we cannot be sensitive to people. We cannot be sensitive to what they're feeling. And it makes us anxious because we cannot read social cues. We go, the bottom one is a different brainwave. It is also Brodmann area 40, and it has the same possible symptoms of defect, even though this brain has theta waves, which are slow, 4 to 7 hertz, and this has high, 16 to 20 hertz. Okay, so let's go on. Let's see. So anyone with problems in a Brodmann area 40 are more than likely to have problems seeing, because every time their limbic system is in fight, flight, or freeze, it's going to melt. It's just not going to be able to take in all the information. So how do we know when they have this difficulty if you haven't had a QEEG? There's ways. You're having a difficult conversation, or I'll give you an example, because Paul is the bottom one. So we both have difficulty seeing. I came home the first time from visiting my mother in the memory care center. It was an awful experience. And I came in, and Paul immediately gets anxious because he doesn't know how to read my hurt face. And not being able to read the hurt face is one of the biggest problems with it, because you assume that the person is angry or upset with you, or it just, you don't read hurt, you read anger, usually. So let's go on. So this is my favorite slide from my heart math training. And this represents our autonomic system, everyone's autonomic system. Up here, we have a sympathetic system of a high heart rate. And you can't see the colors well, but there's a line right here, and everything on this side is gray, and everything on this side is blue. These are, all of our emotions are valid and needed. However, some of us who have had hard childhoods, if your mother or grandmother or grandparents, anyone in your immediate family was an alcoholic, that is almost a telltale sign that you're going to end up stuck on this side, and that you're going to struggle to move down to nirvana over here, where you can be joyful, playful, happy, proud, and shift into appreciation, gratitude, contentment, calm, acceptance, kindness, care, love. It just, you get stuck over here, and experiencing this on the side becomes more difficult. And so this is your parasympathetic system, and this is rest, digest, restore, and connect. So if you're stuck over here, you have a very, very difficult time. I covered that. Let's go to the next slide. The face has 43 muscles, and is capable of 10,000 different facial expressions. The basic 6 And if you can do the basic six right here, if you can read those consistently well, then the likelihood is that you're going to be able to have good social cues, and that you're going to be able to get along with people, and then you're going to have great relationships, and you're going to have friends, and you're going to have fun, and life is going to be, and you and your partner are going to be harmonious and happy, and you understand each other because you see each other. However, if you got stuck somewhere in anxiety or depression, and you had a difficult childhood, in that time period, in that you did not learn how to read it, and then you have a handicap. Facial expressions, normal facial expressions are from 1/2 second to 4 seconds. Those are called macro facial expressions, and this is from the work of Paul Ekman. And so the research that Ekman did was just with these six, and he gave a very simple little test, and we're going to do a simple form of the simple test. And so I have some paper. So number your paper from 1 to 6. And then you're going to write when you write your answers, you're going to have 1, and then you're going to pick which one of these it is. And then you're going to write that number. So 1, 2, 4, 3, whatever. All right. You'll have 4 seconds to look at the face, and you'll have 6 seconds to write your answer. Everyone ready? Get set, go. The correct answers are 1 is 4, 2, 6, 3, 3, 4, 2, 5, 1, 6, 5. So you were not able to identify the peer face. That's the one I think that is the most important. I learned when I was 68 years old, I was going through the Daniel Amen Brain Health Professional Training Program. I was already a neurotech. I had already gone through the Institute of Functional Medicine. When I listened to the first lecture on the Daniel Amen program, and first I opened up the computer and looked at where all the Amen clinics are. I didn't want to go to Los Angeles because I've been in California and I can't deal with the traffic. I didn't want to go to New York. I've been to New York and I know what it's like being in New York, and that's not it. And so I looked at all the Amen clinics and I chose the Amen clinic in Atlanta. It was perfect. I could get in the airport, I could get on the metro in the airport and go all the way up to the neighborhood where the Amen clinic was, and I had an Airbnb, a very short distance. I could have walked if I had wanted to, but it was summer when I left. I had a test very similar to this, only it was computerized, and it had very fancy Japanese masks, and I failed the test. I could not read the faces accurately. And so when I saw the Brodmann area 40 and understood it, I understood that that part of my brain is the frequencies just don't work. But I can still learn how to read the faces, and that's what I've been working on. Western culture, this is Western Caucasians. There's also a comparison with East Asians, and we read faces differently, but you're still reading the same emotions. Westerners, we read the eyebrows and the mouth. not the actual eyeballs. Or how open the eyes are, or whatever. We go eyebrows, and that's one of the reasons why having eyebrows when you're an actor is very important, because that's how we express our face. And the mouth. So if you can learn to focus on the eyebrows and on the mouth, you can learn to read facial expressions if you practice. All right, the neutral face that you asked me about. The neutral face was not part of this research. And the neutral face is important because it is frequently misread. We can see it as someone who's bored, someone who is maybe not feeling so well, has something going on, and they just have a neutral face. I learned about this when I was teaching in the Hood. I had a nationally recognized dance program, and my students were really interesting critters. They were all really noisy. My classes were huge. I had averaged about 245 students every semester. So a lot of students in and out, and they were always very noisy and very excited. They all loved to dance. We were taking our final exam, and I was so surprised because we're sitting there, and for the first time, you can hear a pin drop. It's just totally stillness, and they're all working on their test. Well, that didn't last long. All of a sudden, the desks are flying, the chairs are flying, and there's two girls rolling around on the floor trying to pull each other's hair out. And I have to call security, and they come, and and so later I talked to each one individually, and the girl who assaulted the other girl said, she looked at me. And a neutral face is frequently interpreted as a hostile face. And it's not only in my classroom. Today we live with a lot of people, and seeing faces that are neutral creates anxiety in many people. And most of us, and me, I have resting bitch face. We just, I mean, if I'm thinking about something, you might think I'm angry. And if I look away and I turn, I can't shift with all of my issues. So the neutral face is really important, that we learn to say, I don't know what this person is feeling right now. And then if you're interested, you can investigate and gently probe. Yes, ma'am.
I think some cultures cultivate a neutral face.
Yes.
Because, and I'm going to say particularly minorities, so that they're not paid attention to.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yes. Yes, it's a way of blending into the woodwork.
Yeah.
Yes, and not to stand out, because then you'll be singled out, and you don't know whether good things or bad things are going to come to you if you're singled out.
Yeah.
And also in in the Hood, if you have a real neutral face, and people might not pick on you because they're afraid of what you might do.
Yeah.
So because they assume that you're hostile, so they just stay away. Yeah, a blank face lacks emotion. The person may be depressed, bored, or slightly confused. Okay, the truth is that you do not have to have a brain like mine to have this issue. And you can be perfectly normal. And we all go into fight, flight, or freeze in our daily life. We have moments where our limbic system is triggered by small things. I mean, you might have had a near accident, at a stop intersection, or you had a discussion with someone that puts you in an anxious space. And when you have those little things, it can impact you. Hang on. And there's another reason. If you are over here, your eyeballs actually change shape. Your pupils work differently. So one of the things that we can do is learn to open our field of vision. That's kind of how EMDR works. I like to take a walk early in the morning. And what I do is I look down and I focus on my dog. And then I look up and I try and open my panoramic vision and take in all the trees and let my peripheral vision work. And then I narrow back down to, just right in front of me, the spot right in front of me as I'm walking. And then I open up my peripheral vision and try and take in. And so I do, a couple of steps this way and get my pupils just narrow in, and then I open up. And it's just opening up. So the question becomes is how do we cultivate more safety? I believe that Jesus, when he was talking and he said, asked us, do you see this woman? He was asking us to shift from here to here, to gratitude, appreciation. So Jesus is asking us to look and see with the eyes of the heart. And when we're able to see others with the light of the heart, as I've learned, practice compassion meditation and heart-centered meditations, it's much easier for me to offer love to people that I care about than it is for me to offer it to myself. And as we become better at giving it and doing it for compassion and bringing ourselves to a state of compassion by feeling compassion for others, then we can have compassion for ourselves. And so love your neighbor as yourself. So how else can we help ourselves and others overcome this? Can you see this woman? Come on,
Meditation and prayer, probably.
Meditation and prayer are very helpful because they help us reset. They help get us out from here, and meditation can help move us here, even if it's just relaxation, even if it's not anything spectacularly, just breathing and calming the body down. Because when we calm the body down, you calm the nervous system down, which you calm the brain down. Even if you have 3.3 standard deviations from the norm, you're still calming down.
So
what else can we do?
Meditation helps me overall.
Pardon?
Meditation helps me overall.
Overall,
To help
everything.
daily.
Is what?
Breath.
Breath. Go back to the breath. That's
Because
the quicker you can get back to the breath, the more likely you are to be successful to keep your limbic system from getting out of control.
That was interesting in saying that the neutral face is often perceived as
Also,
I also think different cultures and different parts of the country react differently. Like in the Northeast, you're gonna have
they're guarded, aren't they?
much more neutral
much more neutral, yes.
faces.
Now, how can you make it safer for each other? Okay, I'll tell you what I have learned to do. Paul, I'm feeling very sad right now. I'm sad. Or Paul, I'm feeling very worried right now, and I'm worried about. I have to help knowing that he has the same issue I have. If I want for him to respond to me in a way that I need, I have to tell him where to go, because he can't do that on his own, especially now with the Alzheimer's issues. Okay, and when another thing that I've learned is when something is a real sticky issue, the best thing to do is to set aside a time and do something relaxing before, and then sit down and be face to face in an intimate distance. And an intimate distance is 3 feet, so that's pretty close. And then say, you know, what you need and what you're feeling. I need your attention now for just a few minutes to listen to what I'm struggling with today. And, you know, I don't know how you can help me, but maybe we can work this out together. Having an appointed time without distractions, and both of you know that you're coming together to support one another. And you can do the same thing with students. And with any, you know, with employees. Any other ideas that can come to mind now? And then if you want to be heard the way Jesus wants for you to be heard, you need to speak from the heart. And that's different than speaking from the head.